Hello, I'm back again. I'm so sorry for the audio issues. I'm not sure. Sometimes either it's YouTube side that's just not working well, or it's this microphone or something in my computer. It's so strange. I just did like 1.5 hour of mentoring with somebody, and my microphone was fine. So I'm actually not sure what's happening. If you're here, if you can hear me right, please let me know if there's still any audio issues. But I'm not gonna unplug my mic again. Note to self, and also note to anybody who ever wants to do a live stream on YouTube, don't unplug your mic during a live stream, because YouTube will be like, how dare you? So yeah, don't unplug your mic. It's plugged in now. Oh, Dylan says I can hear you. That is so awesome. Thank you so much for letting me know. That's awesome. There you all are again. I'm so happy. Sorry for the wait. And also, I changed some links on social media. That's why I was gone a little bit longer. It's okay, Nicholas. You were trying to help. Absolutely okay. This is a learning experience. Also, we're nearing a Kickstarter, so technical issues are bound to happen. And I'm just embracing it. So yes, I think I'm just going to start over because YouTube will take forever to process the last live stream, and then the live stream just ends randomly. So I'm just going to start over the entire video. I had like a weird random start anyway, so I'm fine with that. Yes, today the subject is how to start your comic this week. And like maybe some of you heard already, one of the main reasons that I started this YouTube channel, and the main reason why I do a lot of videos that I feel are sometimes quite motivational is because I see a lot of people who want to make their webcomic, who keep saying they want to make a webcomic, who keep sketching, who keep writing. And, I was that person for a long time. I was intimidated to start. I started and then stopped again because, I bit off way more than I could chew, and I desperately needed some more, education on the art side. Before I started my webcomic Recollection City, that was me, and I sometimes feel like I'm talking to my past self, because there's definitely some things that you can do to make it less intimidating for yourself, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. First off, I want to mention that I have a Kickstarter coming up this Monday. If you want to start comics, and if you want to start comics this year, then this is a great opportunity for you, because the Kickstarter is going to be a course that I made called How to Start a Comic. And it's aimed to people who want to, who are new maybe to art even, but definitely new to comics, people who have this dream of making a comic, but don't know where to start, don't know what steps they need to take. I've laid it all out for you in 4 modules. It's 24 lessons. That's all about how to come up with ideas, how to write a good story, how to design your characters, how to design your world, and then doing like a crash course on how to actually start your comic pages. So how's a comic page made? What are the stages that you need to go through? We dive deep into story. You can use it for short stories. You can use it for longer stories. I've tried to come up with all of the decisions that I needed to make to start my own longer webcomic. So things about format, something about word balloons and what kind of materials you're going to use. And I'm going to help you make all of those decisions. The lessons will have homework, like assignments, actions that you can take. And after every single lesson, you can take one of these actions, and that will, bring your comic closer to getting started, and actually for you to have finished comic pages that you can upload somewhere. So I'm super excited about this course. It's something that I really, really wanted to make to help you get started. And that's also what this video is about. So the Kickstarter is going live on Monday, 8:30 a.m. my time. And I've already put the link in the description. So all you have to do is go there and click the link on Monday. I am going to post it also on my social media. So Pencils and Stories on Instagram, pencils_stories on Twitter. So you can keep up to date. So one of the things that is very important when you start making your comics is to, start making decisions. A lot of people keep putting that off, are like, I'm not quite sure where to post. I'm not quite sure, how big my pages need to be. I'm not sure, should I handwrite my dialogue? Should I choose a font? What kind of font do I use? And I get it. Those are decisions that can really keep you stuck, or that kind of decision moment where you don't know what to decide because you don't really know if you're making the right decision, and then you don't make a decision at all, and you're waiting again for a few weeks. I want to encourage you today to make a lot of these decisions this week and make them fast. So first of all, if this is your first comic, I just want to emphasis, don't worry too much about format. Don't worry too much about any of that. Just start with a short, small comic. Don't worry about it being pretty. Don't worry about the format. I just want you to get started making a comic. For me, that was kind of easy because I just cruised into making comics because I was always drawing, and eventually my drawings turned into comics for some reason. And then I started reading comics, and I was like, hey, this is an actual thing. So for me, like, making comics came quite natural. But if you've never made a comic before, I just want you to get kind of like a feel for it. So just grab a piece of paper, or if you're if you're used to drawing on the iPad, just go into Procreate, make a file, I would say 300 dpi, and then make it around, I always work a little larger than my actual page that's going to be uploaded on the web. So my page on the web is like 900 pixels wide. It's like 1200 pixels high. I'm not quite sure about that number. It's kind of like a weird arbitrary number. But that makes a rectangle page, that I upload more like a traditional comic page, but somewhere around the specs, and I just blow it up, like duplicate those numbers to work a little bit larger, and then downsize it again. Just grab any of the presets in Procreate. If you're working on paper, just grab A4 letter size kind of paper and just start drawing boxes. That's basically what I want to say. And, do thumbnails first, like quick sketches, try it out, see if you can get some kind of intuitive, because you've read comics. Most of you will have read comics. If you can get some kind of intuitive story flowing, you can also start with text, adding text first, and then go from there. So don't worry about pretty, don't worry about format, just start with that. If you have made comics before, if you want to get a little bit more professional and planned out, then decide on where you're going to post first. That's something that I usually say. Just think about, am I going to post it on social media? Am I going to post it on Webtoons? Am I going to post it on Tapastic? It doesn't really matter, that much where you post, as long as you just pick something and then see what kind of specs that they need. Like, I think Webtoons is 700 pixels wide or 850. I'm actually not quite sure at this point. I didn't look that up. But, they will have in their FAQs, they will have the size that they need for like the width. And then how wide those panels need to be. And then, Webtoons should make a vertical comic. So it's panel, 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 panel. Instead of, if you have your own website, if you post a page on Facebook, then you can make a more traditional comic page. Some people make just a few panels, loose panels. They don't even put them on a page, and then they upload them to Instagram, or they upload them in a Facebook folder. Some people make little newspaper comics. That works really well on Facebook as well. I would just cut them up for Instagram, for example. If you have a blog, just put them on there, but just decide on a format, or decide on a platform first, and then decide what kind of format fits that platform, and then start making your comic for that. So that's the first step. Again, make these decisions fast. Make a shorter comic first. Don't commit yourself to, if you want to make a comic this week, because you want to make a comic this week, don't overwhelm yourself with a giant story. Just make a short story that you can finish in 1 or even 2 weeks. So go from there. And then obviously story. If you don't have a story yet that you're working on, one simple thing that you can do is just take something from the public domain, like a very short story from the public domain. Maybe it's a fairy tale, or it could be a poem, something that you really like, something very short. There's probably all kinds of websites where you can find that stuff. There's also, like in 2021, a lot of stuff from 1950 came into the public domain. So there's like very well-known stories right now that are actually in the public domain that you can use. So you can just pick one of your favorite scenes. Like I think The Great Gatsby actually got into the public domain this year. So just pick one of your favorite scenes from a very old book that you like, you know, and make a 1 or 2 page comic about it. So you don't have to come up with the story yourself. If you want to come up with a story yourself, you might, you know, want to think of something super simple. So what all that story is basically a character who faces an obstacle and then overcomes that obstacle in a meaningful way. So let's say you have a character who's kind of afraid by nature, and let's say he has a forest nearby his house, and he really wants to go into the forest because it's a pretty area, but he is actually afraid to go into the forest because he's afraid there's a monster there. Let's say they are also, you know, in school, and I forgot my water. It's very dry today because of the heating. But let's say they are also in school, and one day they're being bullied, and to escape the bullies, he runs into the forest, and lo and behold, there's actually a creature living there. It's not a monster, but it's a creature who's also afraid of, you know, other creatures, or maybe he's afraid of humans. And then, you know, the character and the creature slowly develop a friendship, and, you know, that could be the ending. Like the character overcomes their fear, the monster overcome their fear. Maybe they come out of the forest together. The bullies will not bully the main character anymore because, you know, they have like this big intimidating creature that's now their friend, and the creature, you know, is happy being amongst humans because he sees there's also nice humans around. So that's something that I just came up with in a few minutes, and it's, you know, if you can make that a very, very short story, and it's a character who faces an obstacle, like it's a character that has kind of like these fears. They really, really want to go into the forest, and, you know, they have to overcome that obstacle. So you force them to go towards that obstacle to face their fear, and they come out, in this case, victorious on the other end. And you know, that could be a short story that you do. So don't make it super complicated. Storytelling is just that, you know, and then gather all of the stuff that you love, kind of like tropes you love, kinds of characters you love. You want to make a story about animals, you want to make a story about aliens, you know, you can do anything that you want to. It's your comic. So just gather all your favorite subject material. Also, when you're starting out, don't make it complicated. Just draw in the style that comes most natural to you. Use all the brushes that you like to use. Use the materials, the pens, maybe even just the pencils that you like to use. A beautiful rendered penciled comic can be really, really nice. So yeah, just make it simple for yourself. Make it doable for yourself at first. Like, go for a simple style if you're not, you know, super good at drawing yet. You know, just do some pages and get a feel for what it means to make a comic. What else did I write down? See, there's actually people in the chat. Hello, by the way. I'm keeping like an eye on the chat and and talking at the same time. Hello. I'm so happy that you all came back after that audio mishap. How do you write a comic script is a question. Mighty Geek Studios says there are 2 ways to write a script: plot style, the Marvel method, and the full script. Oh, there's multiple ways. I would say there's even more ways. You write the script however you want to write it. I'm not too familiar with the Marvel method. The Pixar method, super useful. By the Pixar method, you might actually mean something that's actually not originated from Pixar, but it became very popular because some person at Pixar tweeted it, and now everybody thinks Pixar came up with it, which is actually not the case. That is called the story spine. It was probably originated by Ken Adams. It has been described by Brian McDonald in his book Invisible Ink, and that's a very simple kind of like story skeleton that you can use, and it kind of it goes through all the natural steps that a story goes through. And the steps are, I've actually laid them out in another video, which I cannot remember the title of right now, but I did this whole video series at one point. If you scroll through my videos, you'll see a few videos that are all about story. And I covered the story spine in that. I actually did a video, if you see me with a stuffed animal shark in the thumbnail, that goes through the entire story spine. Coming up with a story for the shark. That's a fun thing. Not sure if that's the same. Yeah, I'm also not sure. I don't know what the Pixar method is, but that was the first thing that came to my mind because a lot of people keep sharing it and stuff. And that's a story thing. Pixar is very good at, getting to the core of the story. Yep. Yeah, and I actually think that there's a lot of ways to write a script. You can make a fully official script. Then you use kind of like these indicators, like it's night, it's interior, and you have to follow like a formal way of writing. When you're doing your own comic, you don't necessarily have to follow that. If you want to become an official script writer for comics in the comic industry, you definitely need to learn that. And then I would just recommend Googling, for studios, what kind of requirements they have when it comes to scripts. What I do is just bullet points. That's my scripts. You can write it out in story form as well, which I don't necessarily recommend, but if that really works for you to get into the story, then that's absolutely helpful. Just be careful that you don't go into the head of the character as much, because you can really do that in prose, but then it can get really hard to show that visually, because you always have to keep thinking that this is a visual medium. You don't rely too much on dialogue. You rely on the visual storytelling, your compositions and, the character's actions tell the story. And you need to draw all of that out, and then there's dialogue. But, thoughts that the character has, like you can have a lot of those thought balloons that can absolutely work too. But be careful, because prose is definitely different from, comics. But if that works for you, I did that when I was younger. Could get stuck very easily. Like bullet points for me are simpler. But if that works for you, then definitely do that. You can do it however you want, if it's your own comic. Do you have a calculation where you figure out how long you need to create your comic? That can be tough if you do a really long comic. For me, I always notice that I estimate my pages, but sometimes, certain things that I thought I could do in a few panels, I actually need a little bit longer for it to really bring home the moment. And they can spread out really fast. Like the amount of pages can expand really fast. I'm always trying to make my storytelling more economical, but that's a skill that comes with time. So yeah, for a longer comic, that can be hard, but you can absolutely 100%, say, I want to tell a story in 30 pages, and then you just need to make it happen. So you have a story, you have your kind of like script. What I did for 24-hour comic day is, because 24-hour comic day requires you to make a 24-page comic. So what I did was just wrote out 24 bullet points, and then for every single bullet point, I wrote down the main thing that I wanted to have happen on every single page. Kind of use a story structure for that. A small amount of pages for the intro, and then a very large part for the middle part of the story, and then like a cluster of pages for the ending. And I just wrote down the main thing. So you can definitely plan out your pages and make sure that you tell the story in a certain amount of pages. I actually have a method in my upcoming course that really helps you to figure out the priority for your comic. Like, is it I don't care how long it becomes. I want to make a certain comic in a certain amount of pages, or I want to make a comic in a certain amount of time, which is a different thing. Then it really becomes, a point of looking at how much time you have in the week. And if you want to be done in 1 year, then that means that I can make an X amount of pages and I just need to tell the story in that amount. So there's multiple ways to approach this. Again, if you want to, have some help guiding you through that entire process, just check the Kickstarter on Monday. It will have an early bird price because it's the launch. It will never be that cheap again. So I definitely recommend checking it out. You can get it with mentoring. You can get smaller rewards if the course is out of your, out of your pay grade. I tried to make it as fairly priced as possible, and really, really offer it for a really an early bird price. I would say very discounted. I would say it's about 50% of what I would normally charge. I'm gonna slowly up the price as I go. So yeah, there were quite some more questions. I love it. You were all super, super active in the chat. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for coming back and for liking. And, if you're a subscriber, thanks so much for being a subscriber. You're all awesome. I'm consistently hitting like 10,000 views a month right now since a few months. That's super, super exciting for me. We're about 750 subscribers, which is awesome. So, and thank you so much for engaging in the chat and for leaving all your comments and stuff and all the nice words. See me managed to participate in the live video. Welcome. Happy you made it. It's awesome. Hello, Choma, Esma Arts. Let's see, another question. Hi, Gregory. Welcome. Hello from Russia. Thanks so much for tuning in. You share a comic idea? Not sure if I have time to, if it's just, feel free to post it in the chat. Also, if you have, if you have links, just post them in the chat because you guys are live. If you have a work in progress anywhere or something, then, maybe the others can follow you. Just, can you share your comic idea in one sentence? I'm curious what it is. I don't generally do comic reviews. I do mentoring with people. If you want, help with your story, if you want to have help with your comic, setting up your comic, if you want to do comics for the first time, then I have actually one-on-one mentoring. You can go to pencilsandstories.com/mentorship to know more about that. But yeah, just feel free to try and it's an interesting exercise to try and condense your comic in one sentence. Like, what's your comic about? There's a character that faces this and this problem and needs to overcome it because, and there's a reason. Like, usually there's, like, in classic example, superhero needs to do this and this and this in order to save the world. It's a very basic plot. But that's basically what a lot of superhero comics come down to. Let's see. Can you give some tips for an end card, start card? I'm not sure what you mean by card. Can you clarify? I just started, have no idea how long my story will actually be. That's fine. I don't either. I have an estimate, but it's a long story. So I'm not sure if I'm going to hit that, if I'm going to make more pages, less pages. For me, that wasn't the most important thing. I wanted to make the story that I wanted to make. So I wrote it out and I'm like, and I'm a person who can get invested in a story for a really long time. So that's something to consider as well. If you are a person who loves a change of view every once in a while, if you really, really want to make many different stories, then I would advise you to not make a comic that will take you years, because it can really feel like you can never get to any other ideas if you're doing a long comic. For me, that's less of a problem. Like I said, I can get really invested in my story. I never get tired of it. I love my characters. I love my world. And I also make sure, that's a good tip if you have a long comic, I also make sure to have regular scene changes. So my characters travel, they need to change their clothing. They need to change up, any gear. There's different kinds of situations where they kind of like change a little bit. So for me, there's enough change in my story to keep myself engaged. So that might be something that you might want to add to your story. Guidance and discipline. Same. Yeah. Guidance and discipline is always nice. You're always welcome in my course. I would do monthly Q&A sessions, kind of like this, but a little more in depth, so I can actually get more into story questions and actual things you run into when doing the course. So that's definitely, if you want some more guidance, I will also have a Discord server with it, so you can talk to other comic creators. So that's definitely something that would be helpful for you, maybe. Fair. LR asks, when do you use color? I really hate coloring. Yeah, I think I was just talking to the student of mine that I have in my mentorship. We were talking about this because I think everybody has like a least favorite step of the comic process. For me, it's inking. I don't like inking. I have drawn that page so many times up until that point, and then I have to draw it again. And then I have to be really careful and meticulous about it. And I'm not, I'm a fast drawer. I like working fast, and inking is just not my thing. It's a necessary part of the process for me. It's also, I think, the thing I'm least confident about, which might also contribute. But I do know that for some people, inking is the best. They get into the zone, they put on some music or an audiobook, and they really, they really love going in and making all these pretty lines, and they get really relaxed by it. So yeah, I like coloring. It's not my favorite part of the process, but I do like it. Definitely do like it better than inking. If you really, really, really hate coloring, you could go for, you could do some shortcut things. So going for, like monochromatic color and then really focusing more on values instead of picking all the colors. If you think that you can get a better feeling about it if you knew more about it, I recommend, purchasing tutorials that really go into color theory so you know more what you're doing. I felt like at one point, I have done a color course, like a full-on course on color, that really opened up a lot of stuff for me, which enabled me to experiment more with color. And that, that gives you more of a feeling of being in control of it. And that was really nice. I saw my art improve. I saw my color improve, which is really nice as well. So that might be something you want to get into. You don't have to use color. There's amazing black and white comics. There's comics that use, textures, just black and white textures. There's people who do a lot of cross-hatching and then make really atmospheric, cross-hatched, inked, like boldly inked comics. Can be really nice. You can even just shade in black and white. You can shade with, what's that called? I completely forgot the term. They use it in newspapers for comics. Those little dots. What's that called? Please, somebody in the chat, let me know what that is. You know what I mean, right? Those film print, something print. I cannot think of the English term, but you might know what I mean. I think Procreate recently added a function for it, actually in their program, that lets you shade easily with that. Stippling, yeah, it looks like halftones. That's it. Thank you, Storyteller Treehouse. Halftone. Yes, that's a technique. Just Google it. That's a very popular technique that's been used in comics for a long time. That can look really nice as well. when do you use color? I might actually do a color sketch. Might do it in a thumbnail stage. Sometimes I do it when I have sketched out my comic or inked my comic, just do a quick sketch, and then I just lay in, flat color. I have a video on flatting that makes it go faster that you might want to check out. It's just called flatting, I think, or how to use flats or how to flat faster or something like that. I never remember my own titles, but yeah, that could be something to look into. So and just using the flat color, don't even, some people have a style that don't even necessarily need shading. So if you can manage to get an understanding of color, we're just laying in for one flat color, for every single element. So you color it, but you don't shade it, and you are able to pull that off. That obviously shortens the time span as well. So yeah, there's a few methods. Going monochrome, just using simple color palettes, just use 3 colors, can look really nice as well. So yeah, I hope there's something helpful in there that you can work with. You have a lot of questions today. Thank you so much. That's fun. Simi has another question. What are your thoughts on posting short comic updates every week or one big one every month? Oh, that's such a tough one. I've struggled with that too. I am doing an experiment when I start, because my comic is on hiatus right now because I'm working on my creative business, had to take another job because of COVID. So I'm like super, booked up. And I haven't been able to work on my comic because my comic is my passion project. I refuse to bring money in the equation. I want to use it to improve my art. I want to use it to tell the story that I want to tell. So yeah, my comic is unfortunately then also one of the first things that suffers when I need to make money. So yeah, and I really want to, I want to make pencils and stories my creative business. Is why I'm launching the Kickstarter on Monday. Feels like a big step forward, which is nice. But yeah, next to the job that I already had and then the job that I had to take on, it's quite a bit of work. But before I went on hiatus, I actually decided to not post one page every single week anymore. First of all, I have been reading webcomics for the longest time, and I'm very, very used to having a scene, chopped up into one page every single week. For me, that's not a problem. But I wanted to test out if people would really like it if I would post batches of pages. So that would mean that I would see if there was like a natural kind of like scene or natural batch of pages that I could post. And then I would know when the deadline for that was. I can make roughly 1 page a week. So if I have a batch of 4 or 5 pages, that means that I can post a new batch in 4 or 5 weeks. That also means that I can, promote and hype up, the new update on social media beforehand, so people know it's coming. So it's more, for me, felt more like an event. What I really, really noticed was that I took a year to create a very large buffer that I've now completely worked through, but I had a large buffer of 50 pages before I started my comic. I worked on my buffer for a year, and I had so much fun hyping up the launch of my comic that I wanted to kind of see if making a comic update more of an event would actually what that would do in terms of readership, in terms of creating more hype and thus creating more audience for it. The experiment didn't last very long because COVID hit, and that wasn't very helpful. So yeah, that is something that you can experiment with. I also think that it depends on what you like to do. If making 1 page a week is stressing you out, then working in batches and then just announcing the next date on which you're going to post the next batch might actually be helpful. On Webtoons, I know that there's multiple people who post once a month, and then they just post an entire episode, so you get more of a chunk of story, so it keeps being in your mind a little bit more, and then the month is over, so there's another batch. It really depends on what you want. And I would suggest just experimenting and trying it out and see what works the best for you, so you can keep a consistent schedule. Just make sure that people know it. You know, if you're just clear upfront, like I post once a month, and people know that. And that actually works more than like, you know, posting a page and then needing 2 pages, 2 weeks to post another page, then needing 1 week and post a page, because then it's kind of unclear what your update schedule is. So I would just suggest picking something, trying it out, see if it works for you personally. Extreme example is the Wormwood Saga, which I think last time I read it, I haven't read it in a while, but last time I read it, he updated, I think, once a year. He worked on his new episodes once a year, but then it was a long, you know, a long episode, a long update. I don't know what he's calling it, like a chapter, I think. It was like an entire chapter, and he worked on it for a year. So yeah, that's the other extreme. Makes it really hard to keep, you need to really post your work in progress and keep saying that you're here. You know, keep keep your comic in people's brains for a year until a new update, which can be challenging. Shoma, that's about the beginning and end cards. Oh, you mean something like webtoons where you have like a start? Yeah. At the beginning, I would just go into your story, hook and engage people right away with something either pretty or dump them right into the action of a scene. And then at the end, yeah, you can say whatever you want and just make something that's truly your own. For example, for my YouTube channel, at the end, I always say, go and make some comics. That's kind of like, then I made my thing. You can do whatever you want. I know Stephen McCraney from Spaceboy always does, like, he shows fan art or he answers a question from the comments. He will just screenshot a comment and then draw himself answering a question or responding to one of those comments. You could do that. I see a lot of people do that. And he also always, I think he always says, see you next week, Space Cadets, or something like that. You know, you can make something that's intentional with your comic, something that, you know, makes them feel like they're involved in your comic somehow. You know, like calling them a certain audience name. That could be really fun. But yeah, so just if you want to thank them for reading, that's totally fine. Just maybe draw yourself saying, thank you so much for reading. Or you could even do something like, thanks so much for reading. The first person who comments what they think about the episode will be featured at the end of next episode. And you feature the comments and you say, you put some hearts around it. I don't know, you know, just so you can think of some creative ideas. I think you can think of something cool for your comic. Good luck with that. It's fun. Yeah, or the title of the story. Yeah, if it's on Webtoons, people usually know which story they are clicking into. But if you are on social media where people might run into it for the first time, then yeah, the title at the start can be a good thing. Strawberries, I don't even color my comic. I have it all in grayscale. If you don't like color, why do it? You know, unless you want to challenge yourself and want to learn it. But if you don't want to and you like grayscale, then why not make a grayscale comic? Gregory posted his one sentence comic summary, I think. Yeah, my comic is a sci-fi genre story about a battle squad with the name Alien Union, which stand against alien race. Oh, that's awesome. So it's all in space, I assume, from that. And I am thinking some nice futuristic machines or weapons, some futuristic clothing and stuff. Really great opportunities for nice design opportunities and stuff. You know, a lot of comics in sci-fi genre, you know, have nods to other sci-fi franchises and stuff. That could be really nice. One tip for making kind of like a log line, like a pitch, like that. I think you can make it even shorter and sweeter, because if you're talking about a battle squad in space that is called Alien Union, I think people know it's sci-fi. Yeah, I would put in some stakes or emotion that maybe you have a main character that they are going through. Like, for example, X is part of a battle squad called Alien Union, which have to stand against an alien race that is trying to, and then, make it really high stakes. And you can even make the main character, maybe put a kind of like indication in it that makes it more emotional. Like, for example, if the main character is afraid of being in space, but they are forced somehow to be in space, you can say a reluctant, astronaut, or an astronaut that's afraid of space. That's immediately like, space is always kind of scary for us. I think it's very beautiful, but it's also, deadly if you're not in the right suits and stuff. So, something like that, to make it emotional. Like, emotion really hooks people. That's a tip on log lines. It's really helpful if you're going to comic conventions and people say, "Oh, you make a comic, what's it about?" And you can just go with that one sentence. That's really helpful. But awesome. This sounds very intriguing. If you're posting a comic somewhere, just drop your links. Halftones. Clip Studio Paint has some great ones. I think Clip Studio Paint has everything you need for comics. I need to get into Clip Studio Paint. I just can't find the time to really learn. But I use it only for layouts. I just drop in my page, do my gutters and my panels, and I'm out again because I don't know how the rest works. And then I go back into Photoshop. Oh, thanks for the congratulations on the job. Yeah, multiple jobs is kind of crazy. Oh, I'm glad it's helping. Thanks so much. Do you say it was worth making a huge buffer? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense of, you can afford to be sick for a few weeks because you have your buffer. It can also make you lazy. Big buffers can make you lazy. I just all kinds of stuff. Like 2019 was a mess, and then 2020 hit. So I just blasted through my buffer because I couldn't, for a few weeks I was in like a lot of pain in 2019, and then a death in the family and stuff, and it was just, yeah. And then I was like, no, let's just stop the comic for a little bit and try to get to a point where, hopefully I can do more with this channel, with this business. That's my hope, to go full time with this so I can fully go in, help you guys make comics. That's my dream, and then I will have more time to really use my comic for my videos as well, because I will have more time to film and I will have more time to do these kinds of videos. So yeah, I would say have a good buffer that, really helps you, like 10 pages, something around that, so you can afford to get sick. Just don't use it when you're not feeling it, for example, or when you're a little bit tired. Use it for emergencies. Gregory asked before publishing needed to do something to get me and my idea noticed. It depends. If you want to get a publisher for your idea, then you need to pitch your idea. You need to make a kind of like a pitch package. I would just Google comic pitches, because it really depends on the studio what they are looking for in a pitch. You usually need to have like a good summary. You need to have your characters designed and add that. They are probably asking for a few pages up front. And then it really helps if you have kind of like an audience. You can show like there's interest in this. If you want to publish on the web, I'm not sure where you want to publish. If you want to publish on the web, like want to do a webcomic, like hyping it beforehand is always good. So on launch day, people come to your site. My launch day is still my best visited day on my website for my comic, because I just hyped it for like a year while working on it. And I posted all my work in progress stuff. So I posted a lot of sketches, and I was like, oh, my first page is done. And then I posted panels of my page, and I just, hyped it up, and I talked about my characters. This is this character, and then introducing them for a little bit. And then I did for the months before, I did some promotional images, and I'm counting down the weeks. So I made an image with like this many weeks to go and this many weeks to go. And that got people really hyped up. And, if they see you working on something for a long time, then people are usually getting really excited. But for publishers, if you want to get your comic published, especially if you want to get, like money up front, which is hard if you're not a name yet in the comic industry, but it can be done if you have a really, really good pitch. I think then, yeah, you need to make a really good pitch, comic pitch. So I would definitely Google that, and then Google on the specific studios that you want to, pitch your work to. Simi asks, is it confusing to get deep into side character story while the main character is helping them and goes on the journey? Because I try to have all my characters be the meat of the story. Good luck. I have 4 main characters. Well, no, I picked one, which is my main character. But I do have 3 other characters that are pretty important. This can get really hard because that takes up so many pages. You need to flesh out all of them, and they all need, some kind of motivation. Side characters. Bye, Gregory. Thank you so much for watching. Like side characters can get you distracted from the main storyline. So I would always keep in mind what my story is about and make it about one thing. Like, my story is about one thing, and all of the characters are saying something about that one thing. Not all the same thing. Like, that's called theme. If you have like a theme, which is basically your message in your story, like a lot of movies have this too. You have the plot, which is different from the theme. The theme is what the movie is actually saying as kind of like a message. And then you have the plot, and the plot helps you tell that message to your audience. An example, very, very well-known example, is The Wizard of Oz. It's not about Dorothy going home. That is the plot. The plot is Dorothy wanting to go home and get out of Oz. But the message of The Wizard of Oz is you might already have what you're looking for. And then you have Dorothy, who is the main character. And for her, it's really the story of going through that entire thing because she wants to get home. She needs the ruby slipper. She needs to, eventually defeat the witch and stuff. And I can't really remember what the main reason was for her to go defeat the witch. I think the wizard asks her. I'm getting distracted by the story. It's been a while since I saw the movie. But I do remember that. It's like the plot is Dorothy wanting to go home. That's the entire story about. But it's really about you already having what you're looking for. For Dorothy, it is like she wanted to have, an adventure and everything. And in the end, she just wanted to, she already had a really good life back home. She just didn't realize it. And then you have the side characters who are the Tin Man, the Lion, and the Scarecrow. They also already have what they're looking for, and they help Dorothy understand the message. So your side characters should never have messages of their own. They are there to help you tell the story and to help your main character really, in one way or another. They're side characters that can really be the opposite of the theme. So, they can say something completely contradictory, but that actually helps the main character as well. It helps them realize, or it puts up an obstacle that the main character needs to overcome, by which they figure out the truth and they figure out, the message, the thing that they needed to learn and the thing that they needed to transform as a person. So yeah, be careful it doesn't derail you from your, that the side characters don't derail you from the meat of the story and the message. By the way, this is all, I'm so sorry to go back to this constantly, but this is all in my course as well. I have a lesson actually about side characters and villains, because I have an entire module all about story. Module 2 is all about coming up with a good story. I help you make your log line. Actually, I help you make your one sentence pitch. You know, good main characters, side characters, villains, how to structure your story, how to come up with, you know, the scenes and how to progress your story forward, how to, you know, put obstacles in front of your character, how to make them overcome, and how to actually structure your story. It's all in the course. It's launching on Monday. Click the link in the description. Yep. It's turning into a long video, but you guys have so many questions. I love it. Clip Studio is great for drawing. Nicholas uses Affinity Publisher for bubbles and text. I heard so many good things about Affinity. I actually tried it out on the iPad. Is that Affinity Photo? I'm not quite sure. It's kind of Photoshop-ish. Yeah, my iPad is a little too old, so it wasn't handling it. I'm basically just looking for a program on my iPad that can handle my comic pages, but I can't find it, so I need to chop them up. Because I use Procreate for inking my pages, which is super unhelpful. But, you know, I was like, I can ink outside of my house. But then COVID hit and it doesn't matter. But it's fine. I like using Procreate for inking. It has a nice inking brushes. Yep. Let's see. Then says, I want to thank you for making videos. Oh, thank you. Really helped me find some footing in making comics. That is so awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. Yay. So awesome. Yeah, I really want to make it less intimidating. I really wish I had this kind of info when I was starting out. I mean, I found some info in the web. Like I found a forum at one point that was about making comics and stuff. But what I really wanted to do is kind of like make a place to gather all of the stuff that I learned over the years of, you know, struggling through my art block. And I've been art block for like a really long time before I, you know, I unlearned like so much stuff about art and then learned a lot of stuff that I needed to learn. And in those years, like I've researched productivity, I researched making comics, making art, composition, color. I did all the things. And then finally, I, you know, especially some bad habits that I had, some dumb ideas about reference cheating, you know, those kinds of ideas that I had that I think a lot of younger artists have. I just learned that, no, use all the reference, use all the shortcuts. Does it really matter? Make things simple. You know, learning design. Learning the design is so key to not overcomplicating all your characters and not overcomplicating your backgrounds and stuff. And you know, it's been a journey. So I really, really want to make these videos to help you guys shorten the time that it takes you to make comics and not take forever like it took me. Like I made comics when I was younger, like so much. And then I got art blocked for, I don't know, it was 5 years or something, 6 years. I don't know, 5 years or something that I was like severely art blocked. And yeah, it wasn't fun. You know, and relearn to make comics basically, which is weird because I did it like forever. Yeah, so that's basically the reason for this YouTube channel. I started with a blog back in 2012, and here we are on YouTube. And now my course, I'm so excited for my course, you guys. It's Monday. It's really crazy to think. Monday is the launch. Yep. Publisher, photo, and designer from Affinity. Super affordable. That's awesome. So many good affordable programs lately. You know, all coming for Photoshop. I think Photoshop really needs to stay innovative, which I really like about all of these new programs. You know, it forces them to stay innovative and keep being on top of the game, which is a good thing. Yep. And the iPad is really nice. Such a portable device. You know, you don't need to be chained to your desk anymore. You can just make comics on your couch. You know, could do that with paper, of course. But yeah, it's really nice. Yes. Simi says, everyone in the chat, if you have somewhere that your comics posted, write down the name and where I can check it out. Definitely do that. I think we're nearing the end of the live stream, so do it now. You guys can, because you're here live in the chat, and I appreciate you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video. I will see you next week. I decided to just do weekly YouTube videos here, just weekly live streams. I will do some more live streams on Instagram, Facebook, do a lot of posts because, Kickstarter needs a lot of promotion and stuff. It's live for 30 days. Get the course. Get it for the cheapest price possible. It's around 50% off of the regular price. So definitely check in back in on Wednesday. It has a lot of other great rewards as well. Some things that are unique that will only be, in the Kickstarter. Like, I could just spoil them, I guess. I'm going to do a specific video where I answer your questions kind of like this. Specific YouTube video just for backers that is invisible for any other people. I'm going to do a workshop, a live workshop. You can get that as well. And then you can get my course. You can get my course with mentoring. You can even get like it's a high ticket, but you can get a high ticket for my life mentoring course that I'm going to teach in October. That's actually a course that's face-to-face. How to start a comic is a course that you could take on your own pace. That's the course that I'm going to launch this Monday. Because, some people will make a short comic, some people will make a long comic, some lessons, some people will take a few weeks to do, some people will blast through the entire course. I'm going to drip it out, the lessons every single week. So that means I'm going to start, if I'm correct, I'm going to start posting the course on March 29th. That will be lesson 1. And then I'm going to drop a lesson every single week. So you can actually... that will be unique to the first adapters of the course. They can actually get a new lesson every week and follow along. And some, like I said, some lessons will take you a little longer than a week. Don't worry about falling behind. You will always have access to the course. You can always take it. You can take as long as you want. But if you kind of like follow along with the lessons, then you will have a fully prepared course and a few first pages around the beginning of September. That's going to be when the last lesson drops. Last lesson about color. So for the people who don't necessarily like it, that might be a good lesson. So, yep. Let's see if people dropped our links. No color. The Discord sounds super good. I'm actually I had like a Facebook group, but it was too much to keep up with at this point because there weren't many people in there, so there wasn't too much engagement, which meant that I would have to constantly feed posts into it, and I just couldn't find time with all of the stuff going on. So I archived that group for now, but when my audience is a little bigger, I actually do want to start a Discord group. I am going to start a Discord group for my course, but that's obviously for the people who got my course. But then when my audience is a little bit bigger, right now I have 50 subscribers. I'm expecting with the rate it's going, I'm expecting to have like 1,000 subscribers around July. So the audience keeps expanding, but I think I'm going to wait a little bit until the audience is really, really a little bit bigger before I start like an open Discord for everyone. But feel free to have a Discord or recommend any Discords. I know that there's comic Discords around. There must be a lot of them. I never quite know how to get into Discords. But yeah, if anybody knows of good Discords, then please put them in the chat. Mighty Geek Studios is a 10-time veteran of the 24-hour comic day challenge. I commend you. Applause for you. That's amazing. That's awesome. Did you do the full 24 hours? Because I'm a person who I get sick when I don't sleep. That's how bad it is. I do very bad on lack of sleep. So I actually decided to take my sleep and then work for my waking hours. So I didn't do complete 24 hours, which meant I couldn't get to inking, which was sad. But I drew, like I planned out and designed my characters and everything I did on the day. I didn't even think of my story. I had like a basic, like, I want to make something about creatures. That was all that I had. And then I came up with the story and designed all the characters and stuff on the day. But if you did like a full-on comic and you actually worked for 24 hours, and it's so good. And in 10 days, that's awesome. If you have made any videos or something about it and you have a YouTube channel, drop your YouTube channel in the chat. Thanks so much all for your nice words. No problem. Doing these live streams is really, really fun. I really like doing them, and it's extra fun when you guys ask me questions so I can answer them. I was just going to do like a 20-minute live stream. It's been an hour. Wow, exactly an hour. Yep, guess that's my cue. Mighty Greek Studios did 24 hours for the 24-hour comic day challenge. That is amazing. You can be so proud of yourself. If you have a link to where your comics are posted, post them in the chat. Post them right now, because I'm gonna end the stream soon. I'm not sure if you can still post in the chat afterwards. Have a nice day, Dylan. You too. All have a great day, and I really hope the tips in this video helped you. I hope the tips on how to start your comic this week. Again, quick recap, don't worry too much about format, just go for it. Especially if you haven't made comics before, get into it, get a feel for it. And then from there, start working one by one on little things that you can improve. But yeah, go do stuff. And go look at other comics, just steal ideas. Like, make it your own, but just look at what other comics are doing. What are your favorite comics doing? How are they doing creative stuff? Yep. All of that. See you all next time. See you all next week. Great day. Just do it. Just do it. Yes. Awesome. Yep. And time management. Always good. See you next week, guys. Thank you so much. And go and make some comics. Bye. Thank you. Leave a comment. Leave a like. Please end the stream. I'm ending it. Yes. Bye, guys.